Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So, one of the people that comes by my page, named James L. This person seems to be, trying to follow my story and then also doing research on their own. Seems to be doing stuff because they keep recommending me to things like, oh, check this out now too. Also, it's funny when I got somebody always tell me, oh, you go check this out. Go check this out. It's like, it's one of the things in the Michael Jackson story. There's so much information because he was famous for so many years. So there's just so much. There's so much information out there. So I was talking about the Who Is It song, right? So then the James L told me the song Dangerous has words that are very similar to that song too. And so told me to go listen to Dangerous, okay? So first of all, what I want to do is I want to make sure I need to know who wrote the words to Dangerous, because I know Michael Jackson didn't write every song, He writes a lot of them, but he doesn't write every one of them. So I need to know exactly who wrote the thing, So then when I went to the Wikipedia to look for Dangerous, because Dangerous is the name of the album comes up. So I'm going to have to specify the song. And what's funny, so I went looking for the one thing. This is part of what happens in doing the research. And this is why I'm making this video, to show you how this just takes me in places, and this is how my research goes. And so, like I said, so I was going to go look for the song, but then it came upon the album, and I'm looking upon the album, just reading a little bit up, and a couple things came out, were interesting to me here. Let me see this. Say that. There. See, Sony had inherited Jackson following its takeover of Epic Records. So Michael was with Epic, and then Sony bought Epic. So that's how I didn't know that. I didn't know I thought he left and he went to Sony because then it says the deal granted Jackson an advance of $5 million and per album, with a 25% ownership of royalties based on retail sales, which, just from my knowing, I think that's huge. And then I think it said here that was really good. That sounds like a massive amount. It remains the most lucrative recording contract in music history. So that was a really good deal. So when that happened, Sony bought them, and then they would have come to Michael and they would have said, what do you want, Michael? What do you want? What do you want to stay with us? What do you want? And then so Michael would have gave all his demands and everything, and then that's how he ends up with Sony. Okay, so it's like he kind of because Sony was so big, and then he could see that, and then they'd be telling him, we can do this for you, we have access to this, we're so powerful, we can do this, that they couldn't. And that's, that's what it appeals to. That's how Sony got Michael and stuff. But so then the other thing here on the there it is, down there a little further there. So here it says Dangerous was produced by Jackson, Teddy Riley, Bill Bottrell, and Bruce Swedien. Okay, so I know the Bruce Swedien guy's name, so because I seen him in there, and so I'm like, oh, so he stayed around even, because this is after the Quincy Jones, and I think I know he worked with Quincy and stuff, but Bruce Swedien, actually, he goes all the way back in Michael's history, right? And because of that, I wanted to show you that Bruce Swedien guy, he's really important. And so I needed to show you some of the history I needed to show you some of the research I do and some of the history and the stuff. So this here, that guy on the right's name's Tom Marrows. And then on the left there, that's Marshall Thompson of the Shy-Lights. He's incredibly important. Like, right now, and I've talked about him before, but if you people don't know him, by recognizing him now, because I have talked about him, and if you would just, I don't know who that guy is, okay, he's important, okay? So I wanted to highlight, it's super important. Okay, see Tom Marrows, I'll roll it up a little bit so you can see it there. Okay, so, see that Tom Marrows? Okay, that's this guy's page. Now, this guy's super knowledgeable, he's got all this information, and even in this video, and what'll happen too, when he's talking to these guys, you'll see it happen a couple times. He'll start telling the people, and the people are like, dang, you know a lot. That's what happened, and that happened in this one too. The guy's like, hey, you've been doing your studying and stuff. It's really funny. This Tom Marrows, and then this Tom Marrows, I saw him, he has a video he's also a huge Smokey Robinson, the Miracles of the Miracles. He's a huge Miracles fan. I think that was like his like #1 band. He loves the Miracles, and so he like fought to get the Miracles into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And because I think Smokey was already there as an individual, but to get the band inducted, and he fought. I think he was an integral part in that. And then the night before the Miracles are actually inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they're doing a party there, and Tom Marrows was there, and he's giving a speech there, and there's Smokey, and he's talking, they're having a big party. So I'm just saying, this is one of the videos that I come across with this Tom Marrows. So I sent this Tom Marrows an email one time, and he just kind of, he just didn't give me the credit that I felt like I deserved, so I've never contacted him more. And you'll see in this video, I'm going to show you why, too, part of, because how he talks about Diana Ross. But I do want to mention that this Tom Marrows has some really good videos. But most of you people might not be interested in most of the stuff he does. But if you watch his actual his interviews, they're really good music history interviews. You can get some good knowledge. So Marshall Thompson tells Tom the history of the Shylights. Okay, this exact video, this one is a massive important. Okay, in the Michael Jackson story, this is an important one. Oh, I keep trying to figure it. It's because I had to roll it down. Hold on. There we go. I was trying to zoom in. I need to roll it down. I was like, why can't I zoom in on this? Okay, So in this video, there's all kinds of, there's so much information, good information too. But then when you get to the actual details of how Michael came to Motown, and I can't even show you all this stuff here because there's just too much. But I think it's wrong and it's misleading. And I'm going to step up and show you here that there's things wrong, that there's still, the way they're saying it and stuff, it's wrong. So here, let me go and I'm going to just go through a few parts of this because there's a lot of parts here. So let me show you a few parts here that I've got marked, that I marked. So let me show you the first one.
Together, and that's where we got our sound from too. Listening to those different groups, you know, like the Dales, the Spaniels.
The Spaniels. So right there, the Shylights guy, this is early when he's saying that. I'm going to turn the volume up so you can hear it better now. And see that picture right here, I'm showing you, on the left it says up there, Spaniels 1957. And then see the one right there, Hudson. Let me go and, okay, so there. So Spaniels 1957 and Pookie Hudson in the Spaniels, okay? So that's the band, the Spaniels, with the Pookie Hudson that I tell you that Pookie Hudson, he was in Joe Jackson's group, the Falcons. It would have been before this, okay? So before he got with the Spaniels, before that, he's with Joe Jackson in the early 50s when Joe Jackson had his band, the Falcons, when he was trying to make it before he actually went to the steel mill and became a steel mill worker, you know? When he was actually trying to be a musician, in his band was Pookie Hudson. He's from Gary, Indiana. Okay, so now this guy right here, the Shylights, he's telling you one of his major influences was the Spaniels, okay? So that's what I'm saying. This guy here, this guy is very big into the Jacksons thing, and that's what I'm showing you is that this guy he knows the Spaniels and stuff, and then with the Joe, I'm trying to show here part of that Joe Jackson has a much bigger history with these people, and then Michael's history before he gets to Motown, there's much more going on, and you'll see that the people he's actually hanging out with are people that know all the people. There's so much going on. So there was that part. So let me go to, okay, let me go to 1003. Okay, now let's watch this part.
Where was the studio? We was at on Walden Street in Chicago, Universal Studio on Walden in Chicago, on the second floor, right there on Walden. Now they recorded for everybody. That's where I introduced the Jackson 5 in the studio with Bruce Sedane. Now wait a minute.
One of the Shylights, the leader of the Shylights, Marshall Thompson. Marshall asked me to go and look at this kid that was on stage at the time I walked in. And I went up there, and that was this little bitty guy about like that. And he was spinning around like James Brown. Ooh, hey, ooh.
You introduced Jackson 5. Yeah, I put him to Bruce Sedane. Michael and them used to come down to our session. They listened to him and Joe and them listen to our session. So I told Michael, said, man, I love that engineer. Yeah, Bruce Sedane. So that's how he met Bruce Sedane.
Michael, just a little kid.
That's right. He loved the sound. He loved the sound that we were doing Coldest Day of My Life and so.
Okay, so the Bruce Sedin, see, he worked with Michael all up on the Dangerous album. That's what I'm saying, the Bruce Sedin. So right here, Marshall Thompson introduced Michael to Bruce Sedin. That's why I'm telling you how big of a deal the Marshall Thompson guy is. And this is at that studios at the it was in Chicago, and he was saying that everybody recorded at that studio there in Chicago, which now is an Urban Outfitter. It was hilarious to see it like that. But so they're talking about their history, and so he's saying, I introduced Michael to Bruce Sedin right there in that studio, and he was saying that's where he met Bruce Sedin way back then. That's like in 1967, something like that, maybe 68. So way back then. And then the other thing I want to show you, see right here, the Shy Lights, right? This is a Shy Lights. He was talking about, this was the song that they were recording at the coldest days. This was and I wonder if it has Bruce Sedin's name on there. But that's what he was talking about. He was recording this sound. He liked the sound, and Bruce Sedin was working with. But so the other thing there, see how it says that the Shy Lights, okay, this is Chicago, but they're on the Brunswick label. Okay, so now Brunswick, that's the label that Jackie Wilson was on. And, so Jackie Wilson was on Brunswick, and that's the label who Berry Gordy, when Berry Gordy was writing songs for Jackie Wilson, it was on the Brunswick label, okay? So when Berry Gordy meets Smokey Robinson, Berry Gordy's in the Brunswick studio, okay? Berry Gordy's in the Brunswick studio, and Smokey Robinson comes into the Brunswick studio to do his audition, and he was turned down. But Berry Gordy happened to be there because he was around the Bruns, because he was writing for Jackie Wilson. So then Berry Gordy goes after Smokey Robinson because he knew the talent of a songwriter, and that he was young and good looking. He knew that that's what he wanted. That's what he was looking for. So Barry went after Smokey, talked to him, and that's how they developed their relationship. But they met at the Brunswick studio, and that's what I'm saying. The Shy Lights were on Brunswick too, and they said that the Brunswick, I'm not going to show you the one part, but in this interview, he says that Jackie Wilson, that the entire Shy Lights band sang backup on one of Jackie Wilson's records, So that's what I'm saying, the connections between these people, and this is all taking place before the Jacksons come to Motown. It's all taking place before that happens. So let's see, which part that was that. So now let's go to here. I have a couple of spots marked where I wanted to point out a couple things. So, okay, so that should be good there. So let's watch this.
Introduce the Jackson 5 to Bobby Taylor.
Well, what happened is Bobby come out with a smash hit before us, and he was headlining the show at the Regal Theater. So the Shy Lights was co-starring with Bobby Taylor. But
okay, so right here he's talking about, see, all this stuff too is that where I'm not getting all this stuff, but the Marshall Thompson, he's talking about that he was running around with the Jacksons in Chicago for a long time, way before the Bobby Taylor stuff, because he's talking about, I introduced him to Bobby Taylor, I introduced him to Bruce Sedin. He's talking about all these people that he introduced him to, right? So the Marshall Thompson and the Shy Lights is a big deal. So you'll see here on this one here at the Regal, this is the big thing. And see here it says July 12th, right? And then down here it says 1968. This thing, daily, whatever it is, but the date's different there. But whatever it is, showing you the dates, 68. So I think that is saying that this is July 12th of 1968, which aligns with the Jacksons then going to Motown on July 23rd of 1968 when they do their audition. When they do their audition at Motown, that's July 3rd of 1968, okay? It's July 23rd. Okay, so this is July 12th. Okay, so when they're talking about this right here, this is right before the Jacksons go to Motown, okay? This is right before that. And then this is what he's telling you. You'll see here, there's Marshall Thompson and the Shy Lights. There's Bobby Taylor and the Vancouver. And there's the Jackson 5. Okay, so this was the big, at the Regal Theater, this was the big one, but what they say is that this is the one where where Bobby takes the Jacksons and he says he'll take them to Motown. Let me see if a little bit is on more of that's on this part here too.
I've been running the Jackson 5 all over Chicago, playing them little group, them little clubs.
You were taking them around to the little
in the
house?
club.
Really? The little kids?
He's singing and running them out the back door.
Oh, wow.
So one day, Perfect Span, the blues man, he loved that group, okay? And he said, let's bring them in. They came in on the day of one of the talent show in Chicago. So whoever wins the talent show get a chance to play on the big show at the River Theater. So they won the talent show, so they end up on the big show opening up for us at the River Theater.
So they were on the same show with you?
Right. They opened up for me.
Yeah, so see, they opened up, he's talking about that right there, we see, they're open up for me. He's talking about that instance, and then he's saying that that's where the Bobby Taylor story comes into play. From what we all know, that's what they say the Bobby Taylor story comes into play. But, and then because of that you have this other thing here, let me show you this one other part here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then this other part
Tell
here.
you what, you want to go with Motown? I said, I'll take you there and I'll get you signed. And that's how it started.
So that was Bobby talking about.
Yeah, and see, that's what he says. So then, so when Bobby meets them, then and they're hanging out. So Bobby tells him, "I'll take you to Motown. I'll get you signed." See, it's like he's saying he's taking all the credit, but I'm saying, and then this is what the Marshall Thompson, and this is the official story. But I'm saying no. I'm going to show you here that no, I override the official story.
How it really happened, because we always get this story about Diana Ross discovering the Jackson 5. But that's not true.
Well, I think what happened is we couldn't say that I discovered them at the time because, well, we wasn't really known. Some real promotion, the best thing you would, when you were going to promote somebody, I would use Diana Ross myself because he was huge.
Oh, no,
she put on the Eddie Sullivan show.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't take him on the Eddie Sullivan show. I took him on 43rd Street show.
Yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, so, but
it worked.
She was a giant. She was a giant. And it worked for him, and I was very happy for him to be there.
Okay, so see how the Tom Marrows right there, he says, okay, well, Diana Ross discovered him. That was the story. But then he's saying with Marshall, he said, but that's not true. See, this is where I'm saying where I had the conflict with Tom Marrows and stuff, right? Because he knows so much, and he's talking to Marshall Thompson, telling him the story. So me coming in to try and talk to him, these people just are not going to listen to me much at all because it's hard to nail down the specific dates. It's very, very difficult because there's a lot going on. But now, let me show you this. Okay, so this is, here, listen to this part. This is from a video I'd made earlier. So listen to this part. Okay, in April 1968, the Jacksons performed. See, and I've played this. I've had Michael saying that, but now here's another documented thing of this. This is a big deal because this is Diana Ross in Gary, Indiana, in 1968. This is before they go to Motown, and every time that you hear Diana Ross or you hear Smokey, when they talk about meeting Michael, it's always at Motown. It's always from some meeting, the first meeting at Motown, right? But like I'm saying, no, I proved Smokey was at I've got him documented in the Apollo with Michael, and then I've got Diana right here. The Jackson 5 perform at a campaign rally for Richard Harcher in Gary, Indiana. Bobby Taylor, and this was the other one, I didn't know Bobby Taylor was there. It's like, oh, Bobby Taylor was there too? Shit. And so it says Bobby Taylor and Diana Ross and the Supremes also performed. They weren't just there, they performed. Okay, so see this? That's April of 1968. So what Marshall Thompson is talking about that takes place at the Regal, that takes place in July of 1968. So and then they go to Motown right after the time at the Regal, okay? Because they go to Motown on July 23rd of 1968, so the timeline of that. But what they don't show you is here, in April of 1968, Diana Ross and Bobby Taylor are both performing on a stage where the Jacksons are also performing on that stage. In Gary, Indiana. They performed in Gary, and that's in April. And I've heard Michael say that after that performance that Diana Ross came over and spoke to him. So I know not only did they perform together, that Diana Ross spoke to Michael Jackson at that performance. I have on another recording. So now you've got Okay, now, there's parts of the story that are all true. The Marshall Thompson and the Shylights. He was taking the Jacksons around Chicago. Before this, yeah, he was taking them around for a long time. They were doing stuff. But then the Bobby Taylor thing comes in, and it's like one of those things that's why it's so tricky. Does Marshall Thompson know that Bobby Taylor's already met the Jacksons in Gary, Indiana with Diana Ross? I mean, he's right there with them. It's a big, and Bobby Taylor's a big friend of Smokey Robinson too. There's so much more stuff going on. And actually, too, the other crazy thing in that interview that I'm showing you with the Tom Marrows, Marshall Thompson says during that interview, he says, I got a call today. Bobby Taylor died today. So that interview actually happened the actual day that Marshall Thompson found out that Bobby Taylor died. There's just so much when you get into this. There's so much crazy stuff. But this taking place in April of 1968, this is way before the Jacksons go to Motown. This is a couple months. This is before all of the Bobby Taylor stuff takes place. This is in Gary, Indiana, in April of 1968. There's Bobby Taylor in Gary, Indiana, performing with the Jackson 5 on the same stage. There's Diana Ross and the Supremes in Gary, Indiana, performing with the Jackson 5 in April of 1968. Before all of the Marshall Thompson stuff, what he's talking about. And when you listen to the Marshall Thompson stuff, he's giving you the hardest core, real deal stuff. But then, what's this? See what I'm saying? Even with the people who know the most, and then that Tom Marrows, see, he'll discredit the Diana Ross thing. He discredit her. But no, she's here. She is there. She did. She is a reason. She discovered him. Doesn't this justify her as meeting the Jackson 5 as early as most of anybody? There still is the Gladys Knights before this. There is a little bit more. But technically, this is kind of one of the first real ones where a big star is right there, especially Motown stars. Bobby Taylor's on Motown too, and Diana Ross. So on that stage, that's what I'm saying. The Jacksons are performing with Motown artists right there. This is before they've went to Motown. This is before they've signed to Motown. Before they signed to Motown, they're performing on the stage here in Gary, Indiana with Diana and Bobby Taylor. But then they go to Chicago and at the Regal Theater, they're playing with all kinds of people all through that stuff before they actually go to Motown. It's crazy when you know the real history and stuff, but there is Diana Ross. She's there. Just like I'm saying, the Tom Marrows discredit, oh, it wasn't her. She was, no, she is there. She's around a lot more than what anybody knows. There's a lot more going on, and there's a reason why Diana Ross is the one who's Diana. It wasn't just for publicity. It's Diana. She was the one that forced Berry Gordy to sign this group. She was like this. She was going out looking for him. They're my kid. That's my kid. He's in a group. We got to sign him. She was the one bringing him into Motown. She was a very integral part. Much, and then she's even here much more than what we know. It's her. It's always Diana. It's always Diana.